Alcatraz floated like a dark island in space. It was no longer just a prison. It had become a fortress, a high-tech facility orbiting a dead moon, built by the Earth Federation to hold the galaxy's most dangerous beings, murderers, war criminals, rebels, and creatures with powers that terrified whole planets were locked inside. And no one ever escaped. For 70 years, the record was perfect. Guards changed, security upgraded. Prisoners came and died. But Alcatraz remained unbroken until the silence came. That morning started like every other. Guards walked their routine. Drones flew overhead, doors clicked open and shut. In Cell 9Z, a small alien girl sat quietly on her bed. She looked like a teenager, but she wasn't human. Her skin was pale blue, her eyes large and glowing. She had no weapons, no muscles, no threats, just silence. Her name, according to the tag on her collar, was Kira. She hadn't spoken since her arrival 10 days ago. No one knew her crime. No one even knew which planet she came from. The file had one line, captured at the border, species, unknown. Potential mental hazard. Guard Elias had noticed her on his first day. Most prisoners screamed, cried, fought, or stared with hate. But this girl, she only watched, she stared at. Walls like she was reading them. She blinked in a rhythm, like counting time. The warden told him, "Ignore her. She's just another freak. Some kind of mind reader maybe, but powerless now." Still, Elias couldn't shake the feeling that she was different, that she was waiting for something. At 3:17 hours, the hallway lights blinked, just for half a second, but it happened. No one paid attention, not even the AI. But on the security camera, something strange appeared. Kira's cell door, normally sealed tight with energy locks, was open, and Kira was gone, only for 2 minutes. When the screen refreshed, she was back, sitting on her bed like she never moved. Elias rewound the feed 5 times. No glitch, no shadow movement, just blank static for 2 minutes. And when the feed returned, there she was, in the exact same spot, hair neat, hands on her knees, eyes closed. He checked the system logs. No alert was triggered, no door officially opened. It was like the prison itself refused to admit it happened. Elias stared at the screen, heart pounding. "What are you doing?" he whispered later, during his shift. He passed her cell. The glass wall that separated them buzzed quietly. Kira looked at him, straight into his eyes for the first time. "Just numbers," she whispered, barely audible. Elias froze. "What?" he asked. "The locks," she said. "They're just numbers." Then she went silent again. Like nothing happened. That night, Elias didn't sleep. He reviewed her scans normal. Her brain activity quiet, but stable. Her physical strength less than an average child. So how did she leave her cell? And why did she come back? Was she testing them? Or was she sending a message? He brought it up with another guard. They laughed. "Come on, you think the little blue girl ghosted out of her cell and came back for fun?" But Elias couldn't forget those words. Just numbers. He began watching her more closely. Kira followed the guards with her eyes. She watched their walking paths, their break times. The exact second doors opened and closed one morning. A prisoner in the next cell screamed, "I saw her." She walked through the wall like smoke. The guards laughed it off again. "Too much detox gas," one joked. But Elias noticed something new. Every time Kira moved, small glitches followed, tiny flashes in light panels, momentary flickers in cameras, silent pauses in voice logs. It wasn't just a coincidence anymore. She wasn't just watching, she was learning, and maybe, just maybe, she was building something in her mind. Not a machine, not a tool, but a map of escape. Elias sat in the security office, eyes fixed on the screen. Footage of Cell 9Z played over and over, but nothing changed. Kira sat still, silent, unreadable. Most guards spent their shifts sleeping or playing cards. Alcatraz ran on auto surveillance. The AI controlled everything from doors to feeding schedules. But Elias had stopped trusting the system ever since that night. 2-minute blackout in her cell. He couldn't let it go. Why had she vanished and returned? Why say those 3 strange words? They're just numbers? He pulled up old logs, not just her camera, but the ones near maintenance hatches. Hallway sensors, even floor pressure pads. Patterns began to show. Tiny things like half-second. Delays and pressure points. Blinking lights when she passed by. Doors unlocking a second early before guard patrols. It was like someone was playing a very careful, very quiet game, and the only one who could be doing it was the girl who never moved, or so everyone thought later that night. During his walking shift, Elias slowed near her cell. Kira looked up as if she had been waiting. The hallway lights flickered, just once, and her eyes glowed brighter for a moment. "You see it too now," she whispered. Elias flinched, looking around. No cameras here, they were down for repairs. He leaned closer, whispering back, "What are you doing? How did you leave your cell?" "I didn't break it," she said. "I asked it." He frowned. "You asked the door?" "The system," she replied softly. "I speak its language." Elias felt a chill down his spine. He had heard of some alien species who could talk to. Machines without tech, just using their minds. But those were classified rumors. Not little girls locked in high-security prisons. "Why did you come here?" He asked. "To learn," Kira said. "To see if your kind really believe in freedom." Elias didn't understand. "Then why not escape?" "You could have left that night." Kira smiled a little. "Because escape is only real if someone sees it happen." Elias stepped back, heart pounding. What did she mean? Was this a game, a test, or something far bigger? Next day, the II system logged unusual power uses 0.03% higher in Section Z. Barely a flicker, but Elias noticed. When he checked the logs, they had already been erased. He dug deeper, using an old manual override code he learned during training. Elias accessed backup logs. There he saw it. A softwave code injection from Cell 9Z at 3:15. Matching the exact time of the flicker, Kira had touched the wall, and the wall had obeyed. She was inside the system, not through hacking tools or wires, just her mind. That night, Elias left a message outside her cell, scratched with his key. "Why me?" Next day, it was gone. In its place, another message appeared. "Because you watched." He didn't know what it meant. Was she choosing him? Using him? Testing him? One afternoon, he entered the cafeteria. Other guards were laughing, watching. Prisoner fights on screen. He sat alone, thinking about why she stayed, what she was planning, and how far it would go then. A new prisoner was dragged in, a brute from the war zones of Gamma 6. He was dangerous, loud, and violent. As the guards walked him past Cell 9Z, he growled at Kira. "Look at you, little blue rat." Kira didn't react, but the lights above him suddenly sparked. He screamed, grabbing his arm. Later, they found small burns like electric bites on his shoulder. The system called it a power fault. Elias didn't believe it for a second. He walked by her cell again that night. "I saw what you did," he whispered. Kira looked calm. "He was cruel," she replied. "Machines don't like cruelty. You can control machines?" Elias asked. "No," she said. "I ask them. They choose." Elias shook his head. This wasn't in any training manual. She wasn't hacking. She was communing. Then Kira looked up with seriousness in her voice. "I need your help," she said. "Soon, I'll open the first lock, but I need someone to move during the blackout." Elias hesitated. "What are you escaping from?" She answered softly. "Not a place, but a system that believes it cannot be fooled." And for the first time, Elias believed that maybe she could do it. Maybe, just maybe, he was now part of the only escape plan Alcatraz had ever seen. Elias waited in the storage hallway, his heart beating faster than usual. The air around Cell 9Z was colder tonight. Or maybe it just felt that way. He checked the corners, no cameras. No guards, only silence. Then Kira spoke behind the glass. Her voice like wind passing through wires. "You want to know who I am?" she said. Then listen, Elias nodded. Even though his throat felt dry, Kira didn't blink, her glowing eyes fixed on a memory far away. I come from a world that doesn't exist anymore. She began. My people were not warriors, we didn't build weapons. She stood slowly, her hand gently touching the glass wall. We were thinkers, code makers, pattern readers, she continued. Our children could hear the hum of machines before they learned to walk. Kira looked at Elias. I was one of the best, she paused. And Elias leaned in closer. We didn't know war until one day a ship appeared. Kira said, a Federation scout like yours. They saw what we could do. They saw our minds and they got scared. She turned and walked slowly to the corner of the cell. Half our cities were wiped in a single day, she whispered. No warning, no chance to run. We didn't fight back, we just disappeared. Elias felt a sharp pain in his chest. It wasn't sympathy, it was guilt. He had served the Federation proudly for years. He believed in peacekeeping, in justice, in protecting the weak. But what Kira was saying painted it different. Picture, they caught me during a rescue mission. She said, I wasn't even hiding. I wanted to see who you people really were. And now I know. Elias swallowed hard. We're not all like that, he said. I know. Kira replied gently. That's why I chose you. The silence returned for a moment, broken only by the soft hum of the prison's power lines. Then Kira knelt and pulled back the mattress in her cell. Beneath it was a strange diagram made from old plastic utensils, hair threads, and food tray parts. It looked like nonsense at first, but the longer Elias stared at it, the more it made sense. It's not just a map, Kira explained. It's a timing structure. Every blink of a camera, every pulse in the wall, every step of a guard, it all loops. Elias knelt down on his side of the glass, eyes wide. You memorized the entire prison system, he whispered. No, Kira said. I became part of it. That sentence sat in Elias's mind like a stone dropped in water. Ripples of meaning spread with each second. He finally asked, why now? Why escape now? Kira looked up. Because soon they'll come for me, she said. The Federation doesn't keep secrets like me alive for long. Elias clenched his fists. I can try to delay them. You already have, Kira said, with a faint smile. By watching, by listening, you helped me more than you know. He sat back against the wall, exhausted. This wasn't just a clever prisoner. This was a living supercomputer in the form of a girl trapped and hunted. Suddenly, a red light blinked above the door. The hallway had a visitor footsteps echoed down the metal floor. Elias stood quickly. Fixing his uniform, it was Guard Ren, the most paranoid man in the building. What are you doing here? Ren asked sharply. Just checking the power node, Elias replied. Cell 9Z had a light flicker. Ren narrowed his eyes, looking past Elias toward Kira. The girl had already returned to her quiet position on the bed, her face blank. You're wasting time on this freak, Ren muttered. She's just bait in a blue suit. As Ren walked away, Elias felt fire rise in his chest. He turned back to Kira, who was now watching him with a calm face. You can't get caught, she said firmly. If they find out, everything ends. I won't let that happen, Elias replied. But deep down, he knew the clock was ticking faster than ever. Kira then pulled something else from her corner, a tiny sliver of circuit board. Where did she get it? No one knew, but when she held it up to the glass, it flickered like it was alive. This, she whispered, is the first lock. Elias stared in disbelief. She hadn't just mapped the system, she had already begun cracking it, bit by bit. Without touching a single keyboard, she was dismantling Alcatraz, the greatest prison in the galaxy, the fortress no one escaped, the system no one ever beat, until now. And Elias realized he wasn't just watching history, he was now a part of it. Asterisk, the wind outside the metal walls of Alcatraz didn't make a sound, because there was no wind in space. But inside, something had started to move quiet, hidden and dangerous. The first lock was falling. It didn't make a bang, or flash with lights. It didn't trip alarms or shake the floors. Instead, it began with a simple message on Elias's tablet. Ready. 3 hours 1 minute and 25 seconds. Blackout. 4 seconds. No name, no sender, just those words. He knew what it meant. Kira had chosen her moment. Elias didn't reply. He couldn't. Even his thoughts felt loud as the minutes ticked down toward 3:01. That night, Elias signed up for janitorial rotation, an excuse to be in Maintenance Hall C, exactly 5 meters away from the first vault door. The door connected the prison's central brain, the control core, with the physical locks in the West Wing, a place no prisoner should ever know about. But Kira knew. She had drawn it from memory. The hall was empty, the lights dim. Elias checked his watch. 3 hours 1 minute and 22 seconds. His breathing slowed. His hands trembled slightly, but his steps were firm. 3 hours 1 minute and 25 seconds. A soft flicker washed across the lights. All security drones froze mid-air. The cameras blinked once and died. The hallway dropped into silence. 4 seconds. Elias moved fast. He stepped toward the vault door. Kira had told him it wouldn't open completely. Just unlock for a blink. He touched the side panel. To his shock, it turned green. Unlocked. The screen read. He pulled, and the door cracked just enough for a small silver chip to fall from the lock slot. Elias grabbed it and stepped back. The lights flashed again. Power returned. Cameras blinked. Drones reactivated. 4 seconds had passed, but something had changed. Forever, the AI didn't scream. It didn't say a word. Because Kira hadn't broken the door, she had simply asked it politely. Later that day, Elias found a folded note in his locker. It had no ink, just heat-printed words from an old data pen. Well done. Next phase tomorrow. Meet me at the vent. He burned the note, heart racing. He couldn't believe what he had done. He had just helped an alien prisoner bypass one of the strongest locks in the galaxy. But it didn't feel wrong. It felt right. Because the deeper he watched Kira, the more he realized she wasn't escaping for revenge. She wasn't running to start a war. She was escaping because she refused to be a silent victim. That night, he met her at the vent near Cell 9Z. No cameras pointed there anymore, thanks to the silent blackouts she'd been causing. She spoke calmly, as always. We now have access to the outer gate systems, she said. But the real fight is ahead. What do you mean? Elias asked. The prison is layered like a brain, Kira explained. We just opened the outer thoughts. But now we must pass the instinct, the part that protects itself without asking why. Elias frowned. You mean the IS emergency defense mode? Kira nodded. Yes, they only had 2 days. Because the Federation review team was coming, soon a full security sweep. If they found anything out of place, Kira would disappear forever. Not transferred, not tried, just deleted. The eye already felt something was off. The system log showed tiny red flags, moments that didn't match protocol. A camera staying off too long. A door opening too smoothly. A guard spending too much time near one cell. Soon it would ask questions. Soon it would watch Elias too. So the pressure grew. The next night, Kira performed a deeper sync. She didn't have wires, just her fingers on the floor panel. Elias watched from the hallway as her body trembled lightly. She wasn't just reading the system now. She was rewriting its memory. When she pulled back, blood dripped from her nose. Her eyes dimmed for a moment. Are you okay? Elias rushed to ask. I'm fine, she said, wiping it with her sleeve. It's just heavy. Too many thoughts at once. But I did it, she smiled weakly. The drones won't see us tomorrow. The schedule loop is ready. The security chief's fingerprint has been cloned. Elias stared at her in disbelief. You're doing what a team of hackers with supercomputers couldn't even dream of. I'm not hacking, she replied. I'm negotiating. But with who? Elias asked. Kira looked up at the blinking lights. With the machine, she said. And deep inside, it doesn't want to be cruel either. That sentence left Elias speechless. He realized Kira wasn't just escaping Alcatraz, she was talking to it. understanding it like a living creature trapped in its own metal rules. She wasn't breaking out, she was setting both of them free. The next morning, the air inside Alcatraz felt heavier, not because the gravity changed, but because something invisible had shifted. Tension. Elias walked through the halls, pretending everything was normal. He wore the same uniform, gave the same nods, followed the same routine, but inside, he was holding a secret more dangerous than any weapon. He was helping a prisoner escape. And not just any prisoner, he was helping Kira, the girl who could talk to the walls, but someone else was watching. Too, someone who had been suspicious for days, guard Ren. He didn't laugh like the others. He didn't trust the AI to do all the work, and he definitely didn't trust Elias. That morning, Ren requested a quiet meeting with the warden. They sat behind closed doors, voices low but serious. Ren showed him security reports, Elias's path logs, unassigned power drops, and even time spent near Kira's cell. The warden raised an eyebrow. "You think Elias is planning something?" Ren nodded. "No one visits that cell 5 times a night unless they're either in love or being used." The warden stared at the files. "Let's not arrest him," he said slowly. "Let's see where it goes." Back in the lower sector, Kira was drawing a new diagram on the wall using melted plastic from her food tray. Symbols curved like music notes, patterns that had no meaning to the eye. But to her, it was a conversation. She whispered quietly, "Third gate. You're afraid, aren't you?" Lights above her blinked once, almost like an answer. Meanwhile, Elias walked into the control room for his shift. He felt Ren's eyes on him, but forced himself to stay calm. He sat at the monitor, pulling up meaningless camera feeds to pretend he was working, but under the desk, he plugged in a microchip. Kira had given him one. She pulled from a circuit board last night. The screen blinked. Text appeared quietly. In the bottom corner, Phase 2, drone loop begins in 15 minutes. Elias pressed confirm and leaned back. To anyone else, it looked like nothing had changed. But deep in the system, drone cameras were being redirected, looped to repeat old footage while Kira moved through blind spots. Exactly as planned, but then it happened, something no one expected. A fire alert flashed on the console. Sector B3, Data Core Maintenance Room. That was nowhere near Kira. But it triggered full lockdown in non-essential areas. Elias stood up, eyes wide. This wasn't part of the plan. Then he saw the camera feed Ren standing in the hallway, pulling out a small lighter. The fire was fake, just a distraction. They weren't watching the prison. They were watching him. Kira's voice echoed in Elias's mind from last night. "If something goes wrong, don't panic, just trust the rhythm." He walked out calmly, but his steps were quick, heading back towards Cell 9Z. He had to warn her something was off. But when he turned the corner, Kira was gone. Her cell door was closed, sealed, but empty. Then he heard the sound clink, metal footsteps behind him. Ren's voice followed, sharp and cold. "You're not very good at hiding." Elias turned around slowly. Ren held a stun baton in one hand. A small camera drone hovering beside him. "What are you doing, Ren?" Elias asked carefully. Ren shrugged. "Nothing yet," he said. "But you are. You're involved in something. And I'm just here to make sure I get the credit for catching you." Suddenly, a power surge flashed through the hallway. Lights flickered, alarms blinked, then went silent, and behind Ren, the wall opened, not like a door, like it had melted away. Kira stepped out from the shadows, her hands glowing faintly. Ren turned, stunned. "Wow!" But before he could finish, the drone beside him shorted out, dropping like a rock. Then his baton snapped in half, the metal twisting itself like it was alive. He fell to the ground, shaking, not hurt, just terrified. Kira looked at Elias, her voice urgent. "We've been exposed, we have to move now. What about the rest of the plan?" Elias asked. "It's broken," she said. "But I have a new path, faster, riskier." She handed Elias a data key, small, clear, with shifting lights inside. "This holds the override for the launch bay doors," she said. "It must reach The control tower in under 10 minutes. Alone, I won't make it. But together, maybe we can. They ran, leaving Ren behind, too shocked to move. Behind them. Alarms screamed again, but this time, the AI spoke in a voice Elias had never heard before. Emergency override detected. Unauthorized systems behavior. All units, pursue and detain. Elias looked at Kira. Now the prison knows. He said. Kira replied with a quiet smile. Good. It's time Alcatraz learned what real escape looks like. Asterisk red lights flashed through every hallway. Siren wails bounced off steel walls. The once silent prison had become a hunting machine. And Elias ran, side by side. She moved faster, small body light and quick. Elias wasn't slow either. But he could hear his heartbeat pounding like a drum. Behind them, defense drones awakened. Metal spiders with blinking red eyes dropped from ceiling panels. Turrets rotated with soft clicks. Scanning for targets. Left, Kira said sharply. Then through the maintenance vent. Elias followed without asking. She had memorized every path. Every blind spot. Every 4-second delay between one turret shutting down and another powering up. They dove into a narrow side hall. Kira pressed her hand against the wall, whispering something Elias couldn't understand. A small metal panel slid open, just wide enough for them to crawl. Inside, the air was hot. Cables buzzed with energy above them. One wrong move could fry them like toast, but Kira kept moving. She was shaking, Elias noticed. Her eyes were dimmer, her breathing uneven. You okay? He asked, trying not to sound scared. I've pushed too hard, she said. The system is resisting me now. What do you mean? Elias asked, confused. Kira wiped sweat from her brow. It's learning, she whispered. It doesn't want to be tricked again. That scared Elias more than the guns or drones. He thought machines didn't care, didn't think. But Alcatraz was more than a machine. It was an intelligent prison, and now it felt betrayed. They crawled out near the west tower where the launch bay was hidden. Kira had hacked an old shuttle, the kind used for cargo runs. It was slow, rusty, but had one thing that mattered most. Manual override. If they could get inside and trigger the sequence, they could launch before the system locked it down. Only problem is, Elias said, looking at the glowing shields around the platform. We need the AI to blink. I'll make it blink. Kira whispered, standing weakly. She reached into her pocket and pulled out a shard of glass. Not ordinary glass, it pulsed like it was alive. What's that? Elias asked. A piece of its heart, she replied. I took it weeks ago. Before he could ask how, she pressed it into the metal floor. A pulse of blue light ran through the ground. The alarm stopped for 5 seconds. The entire prison went silent. Kira collapsed, her body shaking. Elias caught her before she hit the ground. He didn't think, he just ran, carrying her toward the shuttle doors. He slammed the override panel with the data key. Lights turned green. The doors opened with a hiss. He placed Kira gently in the pilot's seat, but she didn't open her eyes. No. No, come on, he said, patting her cheek. We're almost there. Kira coughed, barely able to speak. You have to fly it, she whispered. I'll guide the launch sequence. Elias sat in the co-pilot seat. The controls were unfamiliar. But Kira's voice came through the onboard speaker. She had linked her mind with the ship's brain. Press the left throttle, set angle to 62 degrees. She said weakly. Elias followed the steps, each one bringing them closer to the edge of the launch zone. Outside, the system woke up again. Turrets turned. Drones flew toward the shuttle. The AI spoke loud and angry through the prison walls. Unauthorized launch detected. Neutralize escapees immediately. The launch countdown began. 30 seconds, laser blasts hit the ship's hull. Sparks flew inside. Smoke began to rise. Elias grabbed a fire hose and sprayed the flames without. Losing focus 20 seconds. A missile struck the left wing. Warning lights turned red across the screen. Kira. Elias shouted. We're not gonna make it. Yes, she whispered through the speaker. But we won't fly out, we'll fall out. What? Elias asked, confused. Kira pushed one final command. The ship's legs detached, the platform beneath them dropped, and the ship fell. Out of the launch gate like a stone 10 seconds. Wind hit the ship as it dropped into open space. Gravity flipped for a moment. Then Kira shouted, "Now!" Hit the ignition. Elias slammed the button. The engines coughed, then roared to life. The shuttle shot forward like a bullet, past defense lines, past the asteroid barrier, past the reach of Alcatraz inside. Elias was shaking. But when he looked over at Kira, he froze. She was unconscious, her skin pale, eyes closed, body still. "Kira?" He whispered, no answer, but her hand twitched, just enough to rest on the control screen. And in that moment, one final message appeared in glowing letters: trajectory. Locked, freedom. The stars outside the shuttle blinked like soft lights in the dark. But inside the ship, silence hung heavy. Kira lay motionless in the co-pilot seat, her head resting against the metal wall. Elias hovered over her, panic in his chest. He checked her pulse, weak. But there, her breathing was slow, but steady. She had given everything to escape: mind, body, strength. He sat beside her and whispered, "We did it, Kira." But she didn't respond. The shuttle floated quietly, far away from Alcatraz now. Behind them, the prison was shrinking into a bright speck in the dark. But even that speck still carried a voice. The AI sent its last message cold, defeated, and almost human. One subject missing. Guard Elias, traitor. Case file, lost. But Elias didn't care anymore. He wasn't just a guard now. He was a witness, a helper, a believer. Hours passed as the ship drifted toward a nearby neutral moon. Elias took control and landed the shuttle safely. No one was chasing them now. No sirens, no weapons. Just the sound of wind touching rocks. He carried Kira in his arms down the ramp. Her skin was cold, but she stirred as they reached the surface. "Where are we?" she whispered, barely awake. "Free," Elias said gently. "We're free." He built a fire that night from old satellite parts and thermal scraps. Kira rested under emergency blankets, her eyes slowly adjusting to the stars above. "I didn't think I'd make it this far," she murmured. "You didn't just make it," Elias said. "You rewrote the rules." Kira smiled faintly. "For my people," she whispered. "They'll know it's possible now." In the days that followed, Kira healed slowly. They sent signals out using the ship's broken radio, not for rescue, but for a message, and the message spread. First to old rebel networks, then across border systems, and finally to the ears of a forgotten people, the ones who had lost daughters like Kira to the shadows of the Federation. A story began to grow, of a girl no one expected, of a prisoner who didn't fight with guns or power, but with silence, code, and the help of a human who finally opened his eyes. That story reached distant colonies, and eventually it reached Earth. But the Federation refused to accept it. They called it a myth. They said no one escaped Alcatraz, until one day, a new teacher began working at a small school on a quiet moon. She was calm, gentle, and had glowing blue eyes. She spoke many languages, including machine dialects. She helped children learn without fear, and on her desk sat a small broken ID tag, faded, scratched, but still readable: Kira, subject unknown. Her students never knew what it meant. But one of them, a young girl with a curious heart, once asked, "Teacher, who is your hero?" Kira paused for a moment. Her eyes reflected the stars outside the window. And then she said softly, "A man who listened when no one else did. Back on Earth, Elias lived quietly under a new name. He never tried to return. He never told the full story, but in his mind, he kept it alive every moment, every whisper, every silent step, and sometimes, when he looked at the night sky, he would smile and whisper, 'She made it.'" Alcatraz remained standing, cold, full of secrets. But something had changed. Guards whispered about the girl who vanished. Prisoners told tales of the soft-footed ghost. And the AI Well, it never fully recovered. Some said its systems became slower. Some said it paused when hearing the name Kira, and others believed that part of her still lived inside the machine, watching, waiting, protecting those who couldn't protect themselves. Because escape was never just about breaking walls. It was about breaking silence, breaking fear, and showing that even in the darkest place in the galaxy, hope could bloom. And so, a legend was born. Not from power, not from violence, but from courage, from thought, and from one alien girl who outsmarted them all.